Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terror Podcast, Season 10, Episode 24. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being with us this Monday, Steelers Nation. And hey, for the first time of 2019, Dave, we're talking about a Pittsburgh Steelers victory, 27-3 over the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday night. Steelers moved to 1-3 on the season, for now, at least salvage their season. And it may not have been the prettiest win in the world in terms of the way they had to do it, but I don't care. They got a victory, and that's really all that matters.
Yeah, did you say it's Monday morning?
Oh, I did say it's Monday morning. See, I'm all screwed up here. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's a victory morning.
A victory Tuesday. Look, a victory anything is something we've yet to talk about so far on this podcast until today. And, it's good to finally get to do that. And obviously, we still have a lot of tape to go through. I've made it back through one full time. I don't know about you, but I know you watched, paid enough attention to it live to talk about it. So with that, 1-3's never looked so good, has it?
No, it hasn't, but it certainly looks a whole lot better than we're 0-4. So the season is not saved yet. But it puts you in a position where if you beat Baltimore next Sunday, a taller task, of course. But if you do that, then you're kind of right back into this thing.
Absolutely. And, look, you got a short week now. You're coming off of a big home win. You get another game at home here against another division opponent. And make no mistake about it, one of my favorite sayings, I mean, this thing's going to, if you're going to turn this thing around, you're going to have to win these division games. The Steelers are going to have to go 5-1 at worst, and probably 6-0 to give themselves a shot at this division. Have a couple of tough games in the middle of the season against the Browns, but they appear to be a healthy team right now, coming off of a win. They gave the Ravens quite a few things to think about here this next week on a short week. So. We're going to find out a little bit more about this team over the course of this next week.
We will. I think I saw somebody say the Ravens are going to be a pissed-off team going into the next weekend, which they will be, but it'll be a good litmus test for Pittsburgh. And, again, just to get some positivity, to smile during your week of practice, on a short week especially, just to kind of have that good feeling. And for some of these guys, the rookies at least, what a win feels like. So just kind of those first baby steps. Again, a game you had to have. And it took a lot of creativity, but the Steelers got it done in convincing fashion.
Yes, it was really was never even close. You spot them the 3 points with the early turnover there. I don't know about you. I was thinking to myself, oh, Lord, here we go. Last thing that you want to do with a bad team is turn over the football and make it easier for them. They did that. The defense got a quick stand there. And then really from that point forward, Alex, I mean, it wasn't pretty at times, and we'll dive deeper into this, but, I mean, they got it done. The defense played well. Make no mistake, it was a bad Bengals team that they beat, but you're supposed to beat those teams. And they did, and they damn near shut them out on top of it.
Yeah, and it's not like the Steelers were a 3-0 team heading into this one either. So, I'll take the victory. Before we dive too much into what happened Monday night, let's talk briefly about injury report and the pregame inactives. Steelers came out of this one with a victory, but also appears to at least come out with a clean bill of health as well. Really no major injuries. Tomlin maybe hinted at getting some guys back for next week's game that didn't play, which kind of leads us into the inactive list of, again, no Vance McDonald, no Anthony Chickillo, no Vince Williams, no Rosie Nix. We'll see what Tomlin has to say this week, but team didn't come out really any worse. Hayward and Connor got dinged up, but both returned to the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I bet going back through the tape, I bet Hayward has a nice little bruise on him because it looked like some friendly fire with him and who was it? To it. In that, I think it was like that first on the get off down there on the first series there. So hopefully it's nothing serious for Hayward. Boy, the way he was moving later on in that game, I know adrenaline probably plays a big part in that, but he sure seemed to be looking fine. And when Connor left, I thought, oh Lord, probably not going to come back, with that ankle. But he wasn't off the field long at all. And back he comes, and then has another 21-yard catch and run. After that, running like a man possessed. So we'll see. Mike Tomlin will have a press conference at noon at noon today. I'm not sure we're going to learn too terribly much about what happened or the status or what's going to happen with those guys practice wise in just a few hours there. But we'll see what Tomlin has to say about the overall health of the team.
Right. One other really quick note. He's obviously been practiced and is playing, and it seems to be, I guess, mostly fine. But Javon Hargraves, he's wearing some sort of brace on that left arm. Is that new, or am I just? I didn't know what day it was, so maybe I'm completely wrong about if it's new or not. But he's got like this big bulky brace on his left elbow.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and I haven't noticed that, Alex.
Okay.
I haven't put that together yet. As far as that goes, I'll have to pick up on that the next time through the tape. There, look, he's playing fine. I mean,
yeah.
I don't care what. I mean, it might be bionics or something. I don't know, but look, that whole front right now, that whole front five, starting front five, getting after the quarterback, real powerful. To it, obviously continuing on his nice start to the season. Hayward looked good last night. Bud Dupree looked like two people out there. Watt had fun with Bobby Hart, making him dance around last night. I wonder if Bobby Hart still thinks T.J. Watt sucks, like he said at the end of that game last season there. But, I haven't picked up on that. But Mike Tomlin did say, like you stated there, that he hopes, let's see, he says the direct quote here is, the other guys that have missed some time, maybe we'll get a couple of those guys back this week. We'll let participation be our guide. Any guesses to who those guys might be?
I don't know. I mean, obviously the names that have been out, again, Chicolo, Williams, Nix, McDonald, but maybe Tomlin will have a better update in a couple hours.
Man, if there's one thing I don't do right now, it's rush Vance McDonald back. And Mike Tomlin did say during the Mike Tomlin show a few days ago that injuries to McDonald the last two games have prevented him from either finishing or being limited in snaps. So it sounds like he was also dinged during that game against the Seahawks as well. Obviously left early in the second quarter with the shoulder injury. And if you go back to the injury report ahead of the game against the Seahawks, McDonald was listed with a back injury, and he had that one limited day of practice and then practiced fully the other two. They need to get that guy back healthy, man. I'm not sure, if I send him out there 75%. Of course, who does ever get to 100% once the season gets going here? But especially somebody like him, I know you'd obviously like him back on the field sooner rather than later, but they need to be careful with him.
Absolutely. One other quick injury note, and then I promise we'll talk about the game itself. Ben Roethlisberger on the sideline last night had that right arm in a cast, I think in a sling for at least some, if not all the time. But he was out there. It was just good to kind of see him. And again, team expects a full recovery and him to be ready for 2020. But you want to note Ben was out there, his first game since the surgery he had in L.A. and then came back to Pittsburgh, and is now going to be ready for rehab.
Yeah, and Roosevelt Nix with you have to wonder how close Roosevelt Nix might be at this point, even though he didn't practice last week and Vince Williams didn't practice last week with a hamstring. It'll be interesting to see on a short week which one of these guys or guys Tomlin might be referring to who might make it back this week.
Yep, but check out Steelers Depot a little later on after Tomlin's presser. We'll talk about whatever Tomlin has to say. Okay, to the game now. Let's start with the offense. And, I know you and I think rightfully so, were critical of Randy Fichtner last week for that game plan against the 49ers. But he really, hats off to him. He flipped the script. He kind of scrapped the playbook, went back to square one, and did some very college-like things last night with the wildcat and the jet stuff and all the things we're going to talk about here over the next 15, 20 minutes. But hats off for Fichtner for changing the game plan and really getting this offense to look at its best that it has all season long.
both coordinators out-schemed.
Yeah, we have not said that at all this season.
Cut this part of the podcast out and save it. Play it over and over this week, because it's not often. I can't remember the last time that we've said such, but they did. I mean, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I think we both agreed that it was probably not going to be too surprising to see both running backs on the field this week. Now, did I think we were going to see 7 snaps of? We also said that we thought we'd see Zach Banner back on the field this week, and we did indeed see that. Had over what do I have him down for?
17
like
snaps.
17 snaps. Woohoo! That's a little high, obviously, with Vinette still being new. I guess that's about right there. I'm not sure you and I envisioned 7 snaps worth of wildcat in
Nope.
in this one. And Alex, I got to admit, there I felt like I was in an alternate universe for a little bit there, because I started remembering back to that North Carolina State tape that I watched of Jalen Samuels, the run game, because boy, they sure did use him quite a bit as when he was in the backfield. A lot of people probably don't remember, but there were very few. The actual running back snaps that Jalen Samuels played at North Carolina State were few and far between. He did do quite a bit of kind of the motioning H-back, and would receive the pitch on some short shovel passes and all, and then some other times lined up in the backfield in the wildcat, and especially inside the opponent's red zone. It really felt like we were watching that, and lo and behold, that was the plan. Of course, having Eddie Faulkner on the staff as the running backs coach, and his, of course, links back to the North Carolina State offense, and then Jalen Samuels and all the experience. Jalen looked very, very comfortable running that, last night, and props to them, because I think once they started doing that, it kind of had that Bengals defense on the heels. I mean, look, we saw this offense really getting a profit by going east and west for a little bit, and this kind of after not having some success once again early in the game, going north and south. So once they kind of got some elongation of that defense and used sort of some of that motion and all to kind of widen things out, that of course helped widen out the rest of the stuff in the defense.
Yeah, I think motion was the key word that you hit on there, Dave, and that's what I wrote about this morning for Steelers Depot. It wasn't the simple act of running perimeter, runs, these toss plays that may have not worked to the degree that we saw last night. It was the use of motion, putting defenders in conflict, making them think, and just being able to outflank the Bengals when they went heavy with their 5 defensive linemen, which we talked about, in our scouting report, and having only 2 linebackers, and 2 linebackers that probably aren't very good at Nick Vigil and Preston Brown. So really just kind of using the Bengals' weakness against them. But I just thought the use of motion and energy and creativity, all things this offense had lacked the first 3 weeks, was on full display last night. So again, hats off for Fichtner for really kind of going back to square one. And you're right, it felt like a college game, and Cincinnati felt more like the Bearcats and the Bengals, and the Steelers just beat up on them.
That's good, yeah. The thing with the Wildcat and all, particularly the motion and all, like you mentioned, we got on them. We admired what Shanahan, had done to pre. Now look, there was lipstick on this pig last night, but it could be the lipstick could be put on a little bit better moving forward here. It was a nice, pleasant change. Look, you schemed to win the game. I kept thinking of Herm Edwards during this game. You play to win the game. That's what they did. I mean, they schemed this thing up to kind of, as you said, take advantage of some kind of lumbering. That poor and we liked him coming out. Rennell Wynn, he didn't know what to think. There were some plays I don't think they'd let him go free a couple of plays.
Yeah, and that's by design. Yeah, because you're going to be able to win the edge on a defensive tackle with your back.
I mean, it's like they ignored him like he wasn't even in there. Poor Jesse Bates, another guy that you and I really liked coming out. I mean, you put that when that guy was in the box and you conflict him, and if you make the right read out of that, you walk in. I didn't think the Bengals played it very well on the perimeter. Either. I mean, and I don't want to take anything away from the blocking and Nick of Zach Gentry, because I thought he showed a little bit more in this game as a blocker. But a few of these down blocks that he had, you better make those. The way the defense was playing it there. But look, I mean, you have to play to your team's strengths, and they obviously are still trying to coddle Mason Rudolph a little bit, and they did that. They schemed it up, they executed it, and they won the game.
They did, and I don't even think on that Samuels touchdown where Bates missed, there was even a read there. I think it was just by design, but it put Bates in conflict because he didn't know what was going on, if it was a read or, all the perimeter plays the Steelers had been running. So it's just putting defenses in lose-lose spots, making them think and be able to play slow and with your backs. And Connor ran hard, and Samuel showed the explosion to the edge. I mean, losing that weight, I think, was so critical for him this offseason. And you're right, didn't have to do anything too crazy, but just it was routinely and consistently effective. They stayed on schedule, they moved the football, and this may not work every week, but it's something that you had to have for this week, and I'll take it. I thought it was just, again, as you mentioned, great coaching and just schematic wins by Randy Fiedner.
You could see that defense of the Bengals wear down, similar to what we saw the Steelers defense do in the second half of a couple of previous games here. They even got to run a little bit of that power to the left, back the other way, and they didn't want anything of that. They didn't want any of that at that time. Now, obviously, the goal line run on the third, and there was not this game plan was not without its faults scheme wise. Juju, you're asking Juju to block off the edge there like a play or two after he got dinged up on. That doesn't excuse it. He's still got to try to make that block, and then you have kind of James Washington coming across on almost like a split zone, underneath there, and then because of the block of Juju was blown up, he gets busted up in the backfield as well too. That run goes nowhere. You don't like to see the early 4th and 1 fail. Right. Like I said, you don't like that third. I mean, at one point they were like 1 and 5 or 1 and 6, I think, on 3rd and 4th downs combined, and you're thinking to yourself, man, you're not going to win games if you continue to do that. And I think, what did they end up for the game?
3 of 9 on 3rd down, 3
See,
of 10.
that's still not great,
no,
but based off the kind of the start that you got, I guess they kind of salvaged it a little bit there. But they got to be better, especially in short yardage situations, man. This is a team that in the past has been a lot better on short yardage situations, especially running the football. And I don't know, maybe with running a little bit of this wildcat now, it'll get the Ravens thinking a little bit, and we'll see what happens with their injury report. A guy like Williams up front, who will be a big loss for them. And heck, the Browns ran for like 1,200 yards on them the other day there. So still a lot to clean up though, right?
Sure. Long ways to go. Possession downs, I think Rudolph even said, I think he was talking with ESPN after the game, we got to improve on possession downs. Something Mike Tomlin has challenged the group to win on 3rd down, still an issue there. But just a really good game plan for the run. With the pass, Rudolph obviously didn't have to do a lot. I thought his progressions were solid, though. Made a profit on every single play, 24-28, just a clean, efficient game. Found Connor, found Samuels, found Vanette, and then hit that one shot play to Deontay Johnson scheme, Yellow Yankee concept, get him wide open, and Johnson another 40-plus yard touchdown. So that's just a classic kind of, game plan of run, and then you hit him deep, and you get that big play.
I said, you just, this small ball, I mean, how far is this small ball going to get you? It got him a pretty nice way. Obviously last night, sooner or later you're going to have to take the wheels off this kid though, So, I mean, we'll see. I got some. I'm trying to pull up some distances here for you now. Mason Rudolph had 12 passes that never crossed the line of scrimmage in the air Monday night, and obviously all 12 were completed for 73 yards. The 73 yards, 109 yak came on those 12 plays. So that lets you know how far behind the line of scrimmage those 12 passes were completed when you have 109 yards of yak and you get 73 yards from scrimmage on those. So that should paint a pretty decent picture for those listening as far as the pass distances for Rudolph. He did attempt 7 passes that flew more than 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, and he completed 5 of those for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns. So once again, he's not going down the field a lot, but when he does, he's making a profit. I mean, that's 2 weeks in a row now that a couple of his passes that actually made it past the line of scrimmage resulted in touchdowns. So, kudos to him on that. But at some point, he's gonna have to start trusting what he sees. I mean, I understand why they're doing it. Okay, get him used to seeing what he's seeing, and get him used to understanding that open in the NFL is a lot different than open in college. But sooner or later, he's gonna be asked to start pushing the ball down the field here sooner rather than later. The fact that they won in a small ball mode mostly last night is good. You did like to see them take the deep shot down the field there where they conflict the safety, and really it's once the corner blew that too on that side with Johnson, it was all over then. I thought it was interesting, Rudolph, during his press conference saying that he didn't understand why Deontay Johnson jumped for that ball because there's nobody around him. But baby steps, if you will, and I mean, he's passing the test so far.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. They can't, this game plan can't be used to win every single week. But I think the fact that they could show the defenses they can win small ball, because I think defense has been playing them back, playing too high looks, saying, let's dare the Steelers offense to be efficient and go 10 plays, and because they haven't won on possession downs and things like that. So now that you've kind of proven that, defenses may change how they play you, and it may open up things downfield for Rudolph. I saw the stat from Roto World. When Rudolph targeted running backs last night, he was 16 of 16 for 140 yards and a score. So again, even in the pass game, getting Connor involved, getting Samuels involved. Obviously, Connor had the touchdown pass and that little option play with the shovel option. Then Connor leaked out just a really nice design that we've actually seen before from Randy Fichtner. So just letting Connor and Samuels be the workhorses of this offense. Just terrific. And the offensive line, too. Got to give them a ton of credit. Critical of them last week, like Fichtner, and rightfully so. But great job in the run game and a terrific job in pass protection. Was Rudolph even touched last night? I mean, they just did a great job keeping him upright.
Yeah, he said that he didn't think he was. I think there might have been 1 or 2 times someone got a hand on him that maybe he doesn't remember there. But overall, and look, I mean, he did some good things when extending the play as well too. Obviously, the play to Nick Vanette there, and he talked a little bit about that. That he caught him with his back turned, and it's like being open when the defender's not looking at you there. So, good on him. They're just going to have to continue to slowly build more on top of this, though, because, I mean, you're not – how much further is this kind of small ball game going to get you?
Yeah, it's not going to be Baltimore. I can probably tell you that. But you do what you have to do to get the win last night, and that's all that really matters. And you can go with a different game plan next week, and Baltimore's going to be on their toes, really not knowing what to expect. Baltimore's a better defense. They disguise their coverage is better. They throw a lot more at you as a young quarterback. So I'm not concerned about that for the moment. I know that this is probably more of a game plan specific thing based on the Bengals' weaknesses and their personnel, and Fichtner can change things for next week. But you had to get the win Monday night. You had to get the offense going. Both those things happen. I'm a happy camper.
Yeah, look, you played to win the game.
Yeah. Can I start doing the playoffs? Playoffs is that?
No,
No,
yeah,
not
well,
yet.
it's too early for that. Yeah,
Is that early for that? All right.
definitely too early for that. So, but look, I mean, you got the win. I'm trying to think what else stuck out to me. I thought Rudolph made a nice, quick read on the early touchdown to Connor there, and Matt Filer might have been a little bit too far down the field on that one.
Yeah, but hey, they didn't call it. I'll
Right.
take it.
I had a feeling he'd have a chance to take a shot or two down the field against the one-on-one coverages. Holton was the one that got the early shot there. I mean, what are we going to do about this pass interference stuff, man? I mean, the fact that you have to challenge that is ugly enough, and then you don't win it. And even if you win that, what do you gain?
Second and 10. Yeah, you challenge your way into a 2nd and 10.
Right. So, man, that I understand why it didn't get overturned. I think. But the fact that that's still even considered pass interference, and then this thing's just all gone wrong. And Tom was part of the competition committee and all, and that helped put this into place. But not even he envisioned it would be like this. And I bet if you strap up Sean Payton, to the truth serum right now as well too, he'd tell you the same thing. This thing is just not right now.
Yeah, I mean, the basic question you have to ask yourself anytime you make a rule change is, does this improve the quality of the game? Does this make the game better? And I dare you to find anybody that would say yes to that question right now. It's not making the game better. It's making it longer, more drawn out, more confusing, and just a simply worse product.
I'm trying to think what else sticks out here. Target, as far as targets go, James Washington only 1 target. Are we to the point now where we may be a little bit worried about him?
No, I think it's just he's a feast or famine guy. He's a big play guy. We kind of knew that coming in on a day where it was a very much dink and dunk attack, and the only shot you took was to Deontay Johnson, because Johnson's playing in 2 receiver sets, and he's starting over Washington because of the nature of the positions that everyone plays. He's gonna, lose out on some opportunities. So I'm not particularly worried about that. I think Washington can still make big plays. But you just have to understand he's gonna be a all or nothing kind of guy because he's the vertical threat.
The thing is, you'd like to see him be able to get on top of some of these guys right now,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we've kind of seen that consistent enough just yet. Holton can, but Holton's probably obviously not as good of an overall receiver than maybe Washington is. So just something to watch here moving forward. This obviously isn't the Big 12. The defenders are not going to play off of you like they are. And even if they do, they can turn and flip those hips and run with receivers a lot better in the NFL than some of those guys could in the Big 12 there. But I was a little bit disappointed for him not to come away with a catch last night. Dante Moncrief dressed, but we kind of had a feeling that would happen based on the way the injuries were. It'll be interesting now. What do you do with Dante Moncrief? I mean, do you sit him back down again once McDonald gets healthy?
I'd have to look at the whole thing. He played 3 snaps, right? I don't know when those came. I thought they were on the kneel downs, but they weren't. Holton was out there, but not targeted. And I don't want to get in the weeds of this conversation. I don't know if you want to have this conversation now. Shut me up if you'd like, Dave. But the Eagles released L.J. Fort, and the consequence of that is it actually puts the Steelers' 3rd-round comp pick in jeopardy for Le'Veon Bell. As of right now, they are projected to not have one because Fort no longer counts in that comp formula because of the kind of archaic and insane rules of how the compensatory formula works. So for the Steelers to get that 3rd-round pick, they will have to cut Dante Moncrief before Week 10, which to me seems like a pretty much a no-brainer move. But what say you?
I don't think it's archaic. I just think that it's an archaic system. I just don't think we understand it fully.
Maybe that's the wrong word.
Yeah.
What am I looking for? Arcane? Is that a word? I'll thesaurus it up here while you talk.
You're going to start using big words on me, aren't you?
Right. Arcane. Yeah, that's it. I'm doing the best I can right now.
Okay.
It's a dumb system. Let me make it easy. The dumb system.
I don't even think it's that. I just think it's just not fully understood, and how it works. I understand the principle behind it. I don't think we all know exactly this means this,
Mm-hmm.
when it balances out there. So we probably never will. Heck, Kevin Colbert doesn't even know how it works, to be honest with you. Here's the thing. LJ Fort was cut. And I know people are going to say, well, he signed with the Ravens. Does that help the Steelers now? No, it does not. So that you don't gain anything back there. At some point, look, you're rolling Moncrief out there and you're risking him for injury. So, I mean, you're obviously willing to take that risk with him. Will they end up cutting him? Will the third round pick? What means more important, winning or a third round pick?
Well, does Dante Moncrief help you win?
Well, I mean that's the question they're going to ask themselves as they move forward here. I mean, you're one injury away from really. You're one injury away at the wide receiver position from it really looking bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, and wouldn't you want a guy in there that kind of? I mean, hopefully he can get over the catch thing. Wouldn't you want a guy in there that's been around, that's on the moving train, so to speak? Here's something for you. Ryan Switzer went a second consecutive game playing 0 offensive snaps.
And was not the kick returner last night. Didn't have wasn't even back there, I don't believe.
So you have to wonder if this team might be looking around at, Colbert's probably doing some examinations right now, some other rosters and practice squads, you would think, for guys that they like. And I mean, you're just not going to find a probably above average backup. You need a guy. If you cut Moncrief, you're going to need a guy that can help you mostly at the X, I would think.
Mm-hmm. You're right. In terms of trying to find other players on other teams, Colbert's gonna have to search under the couch cushions for some draft picks because he's running pretty thin. I would not make the decision now, and obviously they're not making the decision now. I know there's a risk of injury, and that's a fair point, but I think you take this thing up to week 9, week 10, see where your team's at, see what happened to Moncrief, and figure it out then. But if you're out of it, or if Moncrief is inactive and just isn't contributing, then I think it's a no-brainer decision that the third-round comp pick is infinitely more valuable than the struggling Dante Moncrief.
Right. I don't think you do anything right now, but if he does not fit on your day on your weekly 45, right?
Yeah, 45.
No, 46.
The game day roster.
46.
Yeah.
If he does not fit in, on your 40, you don't just dress him because you're paying him a lot of money. You dress him because he fits on the 46. Now, when McDonald gets healthy, I mean, he's probably not going to fit on the 46. Especially when you get Williams back healthy too. Who's going to sit when Vince Williams gets back healthy?
J.O. and Elliott.
Well, I mean, Elliott's going to sit when Chicolo's back healthy.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't done the whole math of it, but they'll figure it out.
All right, so I mean, we could see some more games coming where Moncrief is inactive there. So of course that would protect him from injury. Now the flip side is Switzer's not giving you nothing. He's not going to give you anything offensively. Yeah, he might give you a couple more of those speed outs, those 7-yard speed outs for a first down or a touchdown in one or two of these games moving forward. But I mean, it's obvious right now they don't have a use for him.
He's still on the team, so they like him for something.
Well, yeah, but what?
No, well, that's a good question. I guess just ball security. I'm not here to defend it necessarily. I'm just saying he's still here.
The fact that they haven't, I mean, it's kind of weird that they haven't brought back in Eli Rogers at this point either.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe Colbert's taking a look around at what's out there, but once again, you're an X, a nice, decent backup X receiver is just not going to magically fall out of the sky. And the Steelers tend to like to go after players that they like anyway, so that probably narrows the play, the list of players quite a bit as well too. Once again, this wide receiver core is one injury away, one Deontay Johnson injury away from being, oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I understand. And again, like I said, I wouldn't make a decision now. I would wait till week 9, week 10, see what your set of circumstances are, and go from there. But if you're out of it, the easy decision is to cut Moncrief.
Exactly. I don't think you do it now, though. I'm with you.
Yep.
I think you carry him, and hopefully you can make him inactive for the time being.
All right, let's jump back into the game. My other quick thoughts for the offense. Deontay Johnson, just like the redemption of it, that fumble in the second play of the game, a rookie, a lot of pressure on him, a guy that probably is playing more snaps than they anticipated or even probably had warranted just based on him coming in, not because of stellar play leading up to it a couple weeks ago, but because of Moncrief's issues. But responding, catching a touchdown pass, even if it wasn't the most graceful jumping and landing in the world, but just being able to kind of stay mentally tough, mentally sharp. So that's good for him. And then Juju, only had 3 catches, but that's going to happen with the way this offense is working right now. But a guy that I'm sure you saw him mic'd up, just upbeat, energetic, and just, wants the ball, obviously, because he's a competitor and a receiver, and that's the nature of what those guys do. But when he doesn't get it, it's not an issue. He's happy and just kind of team first, just glad you got the win.
You know what? It might not mean much, but that little clip that they showed of him over there helping out, Deontay Johnson after that fumble.
I think it means a lot.
It does mean a lot, and it was good to see that because who's the older person there? Deontay.
Yeah, you're right. Deontay Johnson is older than Juju, right? But, with Moncrief's struggles, because he was looked to be the leader, and I'm sure in some capacity he can kind of be that, but with him playing so poorly, it's kind of hard to have him be the leader. So Juju's really the guy now. And, I thought it was a great job to kind of pick him up and say to Deontay, hey, man, a lot of game left here. Let's get back into this thing.
Okay, what did you – and we'll be able to figure out this a little bit more of this once the All-22 gets out and we go through the tape a few more times. What happened on a few of those miscommunications, especially with Juju? Was that Juju not being able to get off the line? Did you pick up on anything on a few of those that there were, Mason threw it, there was no receiver anywhere close to it?
I'm guessing there were site adjustments where receiver saw one coverage, quarterback saw something else. I don't think it was an issue of getting off the line. I think it was just, some site adjustments where I think, Juju ran a curl once and Rudolph wanted to go deep. So I think those were the issues. Miscommunication, trying to get on the same page. Standard stuff for a young quarterback for first time out. But I think it was just site adjustment problems.
All right, they need to work that out for sure because you could loft one of those out there in no man's land and get picked off there.
Yeah, Baltimore's going to make you pay for those plays.
Nick Vannett, impressed?
Yeah, hard not to be. And one play, and I'm sure the All-22 is going to show it well, but I thought actually the live angle caught it too. And I don't know if you noticed this, Dave, on the Johnson touchdown. Check out Vannett sealing that edge at the line. Like he's got he got beat initially, but was able to seal the edge and give Rudolph just enough time.
I did see that.
Yeah, so that was one of those super underrated plays. He had the block on the corner, touchdown. So doing the dirty work, which we knew Vannett was capable of doing, what he did in Seattle. I thought caught the 2 passes. I thought it was a good effort from Vannett.
He played 30-something. You know who else had kind of a save similar to that was Filer on one of those.
Oh, really?
Kind of a late push out of the picture there by Filer on the other edge. I'm trying to recall exactly what play that play's not coming to mind. Maybe it was on the deep one to Holton down the sideline there.
Okay.
But go back and look at that one as well too. So. Yeah, look, I mean, Vannett, I posted this before the game. Vannett on the move is better than Vannett at the end of the line of scrimmage, at least on the tape that I've seen. And the thing is, you have a lot of tape on him of Vannett on the move from Ohio State, days and all like that. 30-something snaps with him. That's obviously, what do we kind of pin that down as? Maybe 28 or so?
I thought it was between 35. I thought he played in the 40s. Am I wrong about that?
Did I recall it wrong?
Let me look here. Vannett 44 snaps, 75% last night. So a little higher than what I thought. But we also said they would probably use some pony and use some banner and do some things to help mitigate the issues at tight end. So I think we were at least half right on that.
All right, so now you'll be able to put more on his plate moving forward, and props to him. Once again, 2 weeks in a row, you had Minka had to get on the moving train and learn a lot in a short period of time, and did so. And then now you had Vannett doing the same thing, and I think played overly well, at first blush there.
Yeah, and has beaten the Bengals twice this year, so kudos to him. All right, Dave, I think that's good for the offense. Just, again, nice to see them move the ball, sustain. Other things, sustaining drives. Had 3 or 4 drives that lasted longer than 3 minutes. So That was a nice change of pace, but yeah, just good stuff from all around. Just got to get better on possession downs. The one thing to note defensively, I mean, where to start with these guys? 8 sacks. Andy Dalton only allowed 3 points, the fewest allowed in the game since 2011. Just dominant, I thought, start to finish.
Well, I mean, I tell you, that Bengals offense does not look like they have. You want to talk about no identity?
Yep.
That Bengals offense. Sir, I want to see.
They have an identity. They're bad. That's their identity.
Yeah. That you're exactly right. You know, for coming out such of a creative mind, you know, that Zach Taylor comes from there in that offense. He sure hasn't shown it yet. Now that offensive line of theirs is bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and to be fair, they've been hit hard by some injuries. Like Jonah Williams got hurt, Cody Glenn got hurt. They're in a tough spot.
Right now, and I wrote before the game in my 7 keys that those 2 tackles, they're bad, and they probably wouldn't start around the league, you know, anywhere. And that was a place that I thought that, you know, the Steelers should be able to win. You know, not only look, you had to pick a side where you're going to help at times. Do you want to help on Bobby Hart's side with Watt, or do you want to help on the other? And even so, you're not going to be able to do that, you know, every play. And then, you know, the push that the guys like Hayward and Tuitt were getting, and Hargrave in the snaps that he played, it was just too much. And later on in the game, Andy Dalton did not want to be in that game later on there. That sack by Bud Dupree, that has to be the single best sack that he's had in the NFL, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was my favorite sack and finish since his first one, which was an unblocked play, I believe, against Tom Brady in like his first ever game. But that was his best rush I've ever seen from Bud Dupree. Absolutely.
I mean, you actually had a pass rush move in there. You had him some that athleticism on
some bend,
some bend in there, and a strip.
Yeah.
You know, so you add all that up. I couldn't believe my eyes what I was seeing there. Now, you know, let's preface it. It was going, and I put this on the Twitter machine last week as well too. That Andre Smith's like 45, and you know, Bud needs to finish him off there, and he certainly did on that one there. So look, you can't control who you line up against, right? You can only control whether or not, you know, how you play and how you win. And Bud Dupree certainly did win on that one now. And that was kind of, I don't know, we'll have to go back and look at the way things kind of played out there. But that kind of was a huge turning point in the game, I thought.
Yeah, what was it, 7-3, Bengals driving in the red zone, I think even. I mean, I forget the entire circumstance of it. You might remember better than I do. But yeah, that was absolutely a big turning point of that game to turn the Bengals away, no points. A huge splash play, absolutely. Now, I can't wait for the Steelers to give Dupree $60 million for that sack, but in the offseason. But yeah, it was a great rush by Dupree.
I'm trying to find out exactly what part of the game that was, because they were indeed driving on that play.
Real quick, while you do that, you know, Dupree, I haven't seen the speed, the power as much as I would have hoped for this year. Kind of what we saw against the Titans in the preseason. It hasn't carried over, but I thought his hand use in general has been a lot better in the run game, especially, but also as a pass rusher, staying clean, defeating blocks, and knocking some hands down. So I think you've definitely seen improvement in that regard.
Yeah, it was 7-3 at the time. The Bengals were set up 1st and 10 at the Steelers' 18.
Mm-hmm.
With 5:54 left in the second in the second there. So that was huge. I mean, you turn around and you know, on top of it is they had a nice long drive. The Steelers, they obviously had to settle for a field goal in that situation there, but you had a nice long drive that followed that, and you gave your defense some good rest during that period as well too. So, you know, it was a huge turning point in the game.
And how about the Steelers' red zone defense? I realized this stat when I was going through my stats of the weird last night. The opposition is 5 of 14 in terms of scoring touchdowns on red zone trips this year. That's 35%. The Bengals were 0 for 3 last night, including that forced fumble where they got no points. Then they had the Barron interception where they got no points too. So you had 2 red zone drives where they came away with no points, 0 of 3 in terms of finding the end zone in general last night. Steelers' red zone defense quietly been elite so far this season.
Yeah, the only counter to that I would say is how many touchdowns come off of explosive plays where the teams never even had to get in a red zone.
Right.
You know?
Fair enough. I'm I'm just trying to
But
little optimistic.
but man, look, and how many times have they been put in a situation with the back on the wall,
Right.
due to a turnover down there?
True. Yeah, I thought they've done a great job overall responding in those sudden change moments with a turnover. Unfortunately, a lot of those this year with the way this offense has turned the football over. But yeah, I thought they responded well in those big moments.
Absolutely. So they'll get a good test of that coming up this next week as well too. Only allowed one explosive play of 20 yards or more in this game last night. That's something else I wrote in my 7 keys. Going to have to do a better job of keeping a lid on it. I got to be honest with you, and I think this may have came out last week in our talk with Paul and then you and I talking about on Friday about previewing this game. I think the talk about John Ross has been a little bit too quick about the John Ross turnaround this season. And I watched a lot of tape of the Bengals from earlier this season just by watching tape of other teams that the Steelers were having to play and all. I just think he's benefited from a couple of nice plays and some poor play on the defensive side of the ball on top of it. But look, I mean, the Steelers did a good job, and they even, I think, knocked him out of the game in like the third or fourth quarter there with his shoulder injury. He might miss more time moving forward here, and I think one of the knocks on him has been him staying healthy there. But they only had one explosive play of 20 yards or more, and it was a 2nd and 11 pass over the middle to Auden Tate for 23 yards. It came with 13:38 left in the fourth quarter there. So kudos to the Steelers for keeping a lid on it. Tyler Boyd was going to get his. You kind of knew that in this game, as long as you didn't let him pop you for a big one and didn't let him beat you in the red zone, you were fine. I mean, if I would have told you ahead of the game that Boyd would finish with 3 receptions for 33 yards, you would have signed up for that one in a moment, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's basically shutting him down. I mean, he had the one catch early on the nickel blitz, and after that, he was pretty quiet.
So the longest pass play was 23 yards. Your second longest was one to Boyd for 15 there. I mean, look, the early pass, they caught Eifert one-on-one with Mark Barron. That was a great throw. I mean, I don't know how much more. I mean, considering the 2 players in question here, I don't know how much more you expected out of Barron in that situation. And it was a good throw by Dalton there. Joe Hayden dropped an easy one. Starting to get shades of last year there. Oh, Lord, don't drop those easy ones there. But and then Mark Barron had one, obviously, later in the game, and that wound up being the only interception. Andy tried to give it away a couple of times.
Yeah, I mean, the defense, again, just making splash plays. 8 sacks. I mean, they're up to, 9 turnovers this season, 7 in the last 2 weeks. And to go back to the pass rush again, everybody just eating up front, whether that was Hargrave, Hayward, Tuitt, who didn't have a sack but got pressure on that Hayden drop pick. Dupree. I saw even J-Ron Elliott convert speed to power on Bobby Hart and win there. Like, when J-Ron Elliott, Tyson Alulu getting a sack late in that game, the Bengals brought in their backup left guard. I mean, Alulu didn't have a sack last season and just dusted. It was at Billy Price. So, I mean, just everybody getting in on the party just says how bad the Bengals are, but also speaks to the level of depth and obviously talent that sits up front for the Steelers.
Yeah, and once they, and I think Watt talked about this after the game, once they got in a situation where you're able to pin your ears back, man, when you're taking the run out and we talked about that the other day, right? You get them in situations and you do away with all that other garbage that teams can do against you. It really makes for a nice, I mean, you can, like I said, you can pin your ears back there on them. Watt really has, I mean, he was fine last year, but he really has taken another step now, I think, with his pass rush.
Yeah, I think he's an elite player. I don't think he turned into an elite player until the stretch last year, but I think he's an elite guy right now. Is that a fair assessment? Am I being a homer here?
No, he, like I said, I mean, he was good last year. It looks like he's throttled it up a little bit more. As well. He is elite right now, and this is a guy whose sack reel in college, I mean, it wasn't great. I mean, it was obviously better than Bud Dupree's sack reel, but I mean, it wasn't knock your socks off, I didn't think. But he really has progressed as a pass rusher overall at the NFL level, and I don't think Bobby Hart's running around screaming that T.J. Watt sucks
Well, then they
on this
put
Tuesday morning.
Uzoma on him too, and that's I think how we got the sack. Like, just Bengals just putting him in terrible matchups. Who puts a tight end on T.J. Watt? I mean, you deserve to get sacked.
Right, absolutely. That front five right now, and front five has played well all season long. It's just you're not getting the help that you need on the back end, right?
Yeah, I thought the run defense was better. I thought that was where the front seven had struggled, but were pretty good overall. Last night got gashed on the one drive a couple times, but that's going to happen. Mixon's a good back. I think the Bengals do have a physical offensive line, just not a good one. But just two at Hayward. How about Hayward? Late in the game, he has that crushing hit on Dalton, which was awesome. And then the next play, it's 3rd and 18, I believe, and he's running down a screen and making a tackle up 24 points when that game's over. I mean, just again, that fanatical effort that the D-line shows is one of the best traits. It's infectious to the rest of the group, and you just gotta love a guy like Hayward. That's that tone setter, that leader, that he's gonna chase on the screen when it's 3rd and 18 on a end of a game situation. So everybody else better be playing their butts off because Hayward sure is.
Did you ever see who's wearing the green dot last night?
I have gotten that question about 75 times in my timeline. I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to have to look. I didn't realize it was such a hot button issue, but no, I don't know, and I'm assuming you don't either.
I don't. Someone has said to me they thought it was Edmonds, but I saw late in the game a good shot at the back of his helmet. I didn't see it.
I mean, Bush played every single snap, so it could have been him. Barron played almost every single snap, but it also may have been Watt who had it in week 1.
Yeah, I haven't located where's the green dot? I haven't located it yet. But Bush did play every snap. Bush looked a lot more comfortable out there, I thought, in this game. Got the early sack on kind of a run blitz action, if you will. Just came free on that. This corner blitz, Mike Hilton is fantastic against the run. I mean, you're probably not going to find a slot cornerback in this league as good against run as him. But teams are on to him coming off of the edge, though.
Yeah, it's probably done a little too much, although they have a good counter off of it now. I don't know if you saw in the one breakup that Hilton
they fake
had.
it.
Yeah, he faked it and then was in coverage, and Dalton thought Hilton was coming and then locked on the Boyd, and Hilton did break it up. But you're right, probably something that they either got to add a new wrinkle to it or a new tendency. I don't know, they got to do something with that. But Hilton's also got to make sure he doesn't tip that too. If you time it up well, then the offense really can't adjust. If you tip it early, then the offense knows what you're doing. You probably should check out of it.
Not having the all-22 makes it a little bit tough to. Anything stick out to you scheme-wise defensively?
No, not really, other than just kind of how quiet the secondary was, and I mean that in a good way. I mean, I didn't even see Minkah Fitzpatrick till, I think, the 4th quarter. I mean, same with Edmonds, so they really didn't have to do a whole lot. Again, I thought Devin Bush just had his best game as a Steeler. I think his last week was his best game before this week, so we've seen the continued improvement from him. I don't know what it was schematically. I think it was just winning your matchups, and then, of course, when you can pass rush the way that they're able to pass rush, it makes the back end look a whole lot better.
They seemed to track down those screens. They had good recognition, I thought, overall on some screens. Now, Gio Bernard, I mean, what was the longest catch by a running back last night?
Not far. I don't know what it was.
I think it was Bernard, maybe. Good. That's one of the things I think that scared me going into this thing is how are they going to kind of respond to the screen game there. Dick LeBeau used to say it's a lot easier to coach and make defensive calls and get better execution the further up you get on the scoreboard because you know what the opposition is going to do. And once they got to the point there where, let's look at the scoreboard there, 10-3, and once they got those extra 14 points there in the 3rd quarter, it sure made it a lot easier there halfway through the 3rd quarter to start really getting after Andy Dalton at that point because the run was gone out of there. You can let him complete a couple of those short screens or whatnot, and just at that point, you're just not wanting them to home run you.
Yeah, and they did a great job too, keeping a lid on things, forcing the Bengals to drive. And after the Dante Johnson touchdown that made it 24-3, that game was over. Defense pinned their ears back. Bengals had to throw their game plan out the window, and Dalton was just taking shot after shot.
They took Johnson out at left guard and put Price in there.
And then Alulu beat him for the sack.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, did you see what Cam Hayward did to? Is it Jordan? What's it? Michael Jordan.
Michael. Is it Johnson or Jordan?
I know. I think it's Jordan. Let me look. I just want to make. I want to roast this guy appropriately.
Jordan.
Okay. I mean, Hayward just bowled him into Dalton. I mean, this. Welcome to the NFL, Michael Jordan. You do not play like the other Michael Jordan.
I mean, there was
you play like Michael Jordan when Michael Jordan played baseball, not basketball. That's how he played last night.
Now he was coming off of an injury, but his tape has been better. I think. And they talked him up quite a bit there, during the preseason as well too. So, but I mean, when you think about it, though, if you go back to the start of the preseason, he was kind of buried. I mean, we weren't talking about him because we were talking about the who was the one that Westerman.
Christian Westerman, yeah.
Who basically quit on him, then came back, and then I guess and who was the one that they got from the Giants?
John Jerry.
Yeah, John Jerry was supposed to get time in there. Now, obviously, Cordy Glenn. The original plan was for Cordy Glenn to play left guard, until they lost their first round draft pick, that left tackle there. But that was not pretty. For their offensive line is a mess, man.
Yeah. But again, I know injuries have hurt them. Glenn, Jonah Williams. I mean, I understand some of that stuff. But Steelers took advantage of a bad offensive line, as a good defense should.
Yeah, I mean, you can't control who's out there against you.
Yep.
You just got to beat whoever's out there, and they certainly did.
And so they're up to 14 sacks this year. They're up to nine takeaways. Had 15 takeaways last year. I'm going to keep harping on that forever and ever. So they're almost at last year's number 4 weeks into this thing. Really, really impressive.
Well, extrapolate those out for us.
I guess we're at the quarter points. So was that 9 through 4 games? It's 2.25 over a 16-game season. We'll put you at, let's call it 36, maybe 35. 36. We'll go 36. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to get that many, but they're going to get a whole lot more than 15.
They are on pace to get your magic number.
Yeah, now if the offense keeps doing its thing, maybe you'll have a playoff run.
All right, what about the sacks? What are they on pace for sacks?
56, which matches last year's total, and I still think put 60 in the crosshairs because you're going to be playing the Bengals again. You're going to be playing the Dolphins. If you can get a couple more games like that or have 5 sack performances, maybe you touch 60 like I was my bold prediction this year.
But even if they hit like 55 sacks and they hit the let's say they hit the 25 turnover number, if they don't make the playoffs, oh Lord, here we are screaming up these numbers. Now obviously didn't plan for Ben Roethlisberger to go down, but I mean, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to fault that defense, if they hit those numbers.
Yeah, I mean, they're not perfect, and they're young guys who are still trying to gel, and they're going to give up some big plays and some stuff that's going to frustrate you. But man, they're creating sacks and forcing takeaways. I mean, what more do you want from a defense in the modern era in 2019? And again, I think you've seen improvement from this group, and of course, you should see improvement from this group with all the talent and all the draft capital and trades and all that. I mean, you should see this defense play well, but I think they're playing the way a modern defense has to do, and they're doing it pretty consistently right now.
Shout out to Chris Boswell.
7 for 7, yeah. Just been money. I mean, and everything's just been almost perfect. There hasn't even been a close one that just snuck in. I mean, he's been 49 yards last night. I mean, the dude's been money, and got away pretty quickly from Juju last night when Juju asked him if he's been talking to any girls. He's a married man, I think now, Boswell is. So he made the right choice there too.
He didn't want any part of that, did he?
No. He's smart man.
Leave them kickers alone when things are going right. Don't even talk to them. It's like
are they friends? Like Juju was all talking to Boswell a lot.
I don't know. I don't know if they were just trying. I don't know. Boswell looked irritated.
Yeah, right. I just want to. Yeah, it's right. Like, dude, I'm trying to make some kicks here.
Exactly. I mean, it's like a pitcher with a no hitter going. Don't talk to him, man. Right. I gotta admit, I've been worried about Boswell. So far, so good. Hope it continues for him. Where is your head at now? I mean, here we are, joking and having a good old time at 1-3, and the one. It's amazing what a win will do to kind of your psyche. My wife's shaking her head here. Say hello to the public. There you go. You just heard. She said, "Thank God for a win." She was getting worried there. So
About you or about the team?
no, about
Both.
the team. She's all. You don't worry about me, do you? There you go. How's that for some non-live or podcasting there? Okay. But I mean, where is your head now at this thing? I mean, yeah, they got to win. They beat let's face it, they beat a bad Bengals team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I understand. You lose to Baltimore last week. No one's laughing and remembering this game too fondly. So, but I just want to enjoy victory because it's nice to be able to enjoy victory and just kind of have a nice blow of victory to talk about. But you're right. I mean, this team's got to bring it next week. If they do that, then I think you start really getting optimistic. If they can't, then obviously you're sitting 1-4. You're 1-1 in the AFC North. You've lost to Baltimore. If Cleveland wins, and that's going to start creating space between the top of the AFC North and the bottom of the AFC North. You'll be sitting the bottom in that scenario. So better answer next week, but I'm really just taking it 1 week at a time, and I'm just going to enjoy this victory because it was a great game last night, and I think you should have some reason to celebrate.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you turn around and regardless of how it happens, if you lose to a Baltimore team, I mean, where are you?
Yeah, you're 1-4, and we're in the same spot you were had you lost to Cincinnati last night. You're in a almost insurmountable odds of making the playoffs.
So I mean, it's not per se mathematical wise a must-win game, but it's a game you must win.
And what is the history of teams making the playoffs that start the season 1-4? I mean, I can't imagine there's more than 5 teams in history that have done that.
Well, the good news is the AFC North sucks this year. Putting it bluntly.
But if you lose to Baltimore, then they create space, and then Cleveland, I think, is starting to play better. I mean, they obviously took it to the Ravens, so then you're really going to be kind of behind the 8 ball, and then in must-win mode the rest of the way.
And then who do you? I mean, I don't want to look too far ahead, but I mean, the bye's coming up. But before that, I think you got a meeting with the Chargers, right? In week 6, and they're kind of banged up as well, right now as well too. So, and I think they got Melvin Gordon back, but then he went down. They think he came back too soon with a hamstring, and didn't they one of their edge rushers, Ingram, didn't he? Something happened to him this week, so this is going to be a primed, the team without their safeties too, isn't it? In the Chargers. Derwin James and who was the other safety?
Adrian Phillips.
Oh, yeah, Adrian Phillips, a guy who had a pretty decent game, I think, last year against the Steelers, right?
Yeah, and against the Ravens, especially last year in that playoff game. Looks like since 2007, 5 teams have made the playoffs starting the year 1-4. Most recently, the Colts last year started 1-4, then righted the ship to go 10-6. But obviously, it'd be a very difficult path.
All right, so enjoy the win, and we're on a short week here right now with Mike Tomlin press conference coming up later today. You and I will turn around and do another one of these on Wednesday. So should we get to telling the folks about MyBookie?
Yeah, talk about our friends at MyBookie, then we'll get to some reader emails to close out the show.
All right, and I don't know about you guys, but for me, a game is 10 times more exciting when I'm putting my money on it. Sometimes I have a gut feeling about a matchup, and sometimes I'm just betting on my team because they're my team. Regardless, whether you've been betting for years or you're ready to play for the first time, MyBookie is the best bet this season. If you're the kind of guy or girl who likes to bet a little and win a lot, try a parlay. For instance, if you like a couple of the big favorites this week, parlays are perfect because they let you bet multiple games together for a much bigger payout. So if you're going to bet this season, do the smart thing and do what I do. Go to mybookie.ag because no one gives you more ways to win. Between football season, the Major League Baseball playoffs, and the start of the NBA and NHL seasons, it's time to get off the sideline and get on in with the action. If you really want to support your team this season, don't just sit on the sidelines. Get in the game with mybookie.ag. And if you join right now, MyBookie will double your first deposit. Use promo code TERRIBLE. That's terrible, like the Bengals played last night. Terrible to activate the offer. That's promo code TERRIBLE to double your initial cash deposit with mybookie.ag. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid.
And thank you to MyBookie for their continued support of the site and the relationship we have with them. Okay, Dave, let's get to some reader emails before Mike Tomlin's press conference is here in 50 minutes. So let's keep this one a little short.
Oh, Lord. Okay, coaching from Todd Gensler. A lot of shade has been thrown at the coaches this season, and rightfully so. If they can get things turned around and continue with schemes like on Monday night, it may very well be the best coaching the Steelers have seen in quite a few years, especially with the wrinkles that Fichtner added on offense. The defense should be playing like that anyways. Oh, what a difference a win can do. Look at the tone of some of these emails. I think the Steelers are going to the playoffs here based on some of these things here. Todd, look, I mean, we get it, and we tried to caution there at the end. Take this win for what it is. I mean, the coordinators both did a great job in scheme and out scheming their opponents in this one. I don't want to take away. You get what I'm trying to do here, Alex. I don't want to try to take too much away from the win, but I need to see more.
Some perspective, I think, is important to have. I agree.
From Richard Hudspeth writes in, hey, Dave and Alex, go ahead.
Actually, I'll say really quickly is I agree on the assessment. I just can't wait if they lose next week to all the emails about firing both of those guys. I don't want to get in the weeds with this part briefly, but I just interesting note. They had some shots to Butler during the game, and in the past, he has the long traditional kind of play sheet. Now he's holding like a dollar menu index card. Is there anything up with that? Because that's not. I mean, that's got some information on it, obviously, but that's not a play sheet that the defensive coordinator calling plays would have. Is there? Tomlin doesn't have it. Does Terrell Austin have something? Like I don't know what's going on with that.
I've seen it be that small before.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds bad if you just tuning in. Tuning in here, Dave say that. Phrasing, Dave.
But that can't be an actual legit all your plays on that. I mean, that's not possible.
And Tomlin carries one too, I think.
He carries that index card, yeah. I don't know.
It seems like I've seen. I don't know. Maybe someone does have the sheet.
Yeah, because someone should. You have, obviously situational stuff and red zone stuff. You can't fit all that on the little 3x5 note card. So, and I don't think Tomlin's carrying anything like that, but I did catch my eye, and I wonder if someone in the booth has that. Maybe they're relaying stuff to Butler or something. I wonder what Terrell Austin has up there.
We're not going to get so lucky and have the media pick up on that and ask the question today, right?
No, we're not. But also, I don't expect Tomlin to give much of an answer. Even if you did ask him, he'd probably just say, whatever, give a Tomlin non-answer.
Well, I mean, I would press him on it. I mean, that's their job.
Sure. No, yeah. I don't think the question would be asked. I'd be curious to know, and then I need to go back and look at it, maybe do some comparison, go all Zapruder film on it. But I do want to point that out. And again, Butler, I thought good game. I mean, great credit to whoever called that, and maybe Butler did. But I did want to at least note that.
I think I've seen him not every week, but I think I have seen him with something smaller like that before in the past.
I'll look into it maybe.
Richard Hudspeth writes in, hey, David and Alex, I want to get my questions in early. Does Randy receive a little bit more credit towards being a creative play caller? He adjusted something I'm still waiting to see if Butler can actually do. Number 2, is Barron really that bad? I tell you where Barron made me mad is one of those catches over the middle, and damn Terrell Edmonds had to remind him to touch the player down there. I know it was kind of, the Steelers, I think, were up pretty good at the time, but dude, make the play, even if the play is touching the guy down after the catch. But anyway, is Barron really that bad? It seems like every other play he is a liability. Is there something normal audience can't see? It's just, I mean, look, I'll put it this way, he's going to be one and done with the Steelers. I'll be surprised if he's not. Be interested to see how they treat this when Vince Williams gets back. Right, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, Vince should step into that role over Barron. I mean, he's playing it a lot right now because you don't have other options. Dirty Red got 3 snaps on defense last time. I guess that came late in the game?
Yeah, it did come late.
Okay, that makes sense then. But yeah, Vince will come back and play a more prominent role. The Steelers haven't played any dime really the last 2 weeks. I don't know if that's because I don't know why that is, actually. I really couldn't give you a good answer. I mean, maybe they don't want Cam Sutton in the dime role because they want him at slot corner. I don't know for sure, but it'd be nice to see some dime defense to give Barron some time off.
Answer his first question. Does Randy receive a little bit more credit towards being a creative play caller? He adjusted something And then he says, I'm still waiting to see if Butler can actually do the same there. Look, we credited Randy on that, and Alex and I didn't see that much wildcat coming last night. Look, they did what they had to do to win the game. All right, let's hold off with all the back padding just yet.
No, yeah. Well, I think you can give Fichtner credit. I thought it was a great job and a big 180 from the San Francisco game plan. I'm not interested in comparing it to Butler. I just want to focus on what Fichtner's doing to himself. I think Butler has had moments where he's been able to be creative and change things. Patriots game last year was probably the best example of that. But I thought just in general, both coordinators, coaching staff, good game plan last night.
What's the best way to stop the Ravens, he writes. Seeing as how they love to run, albeit against bad teams, do you spy Lamar with Bush? You better put somebody on Lamar, I'll tell you that. And I think he finally saw he looked like he checked out of that game. I don't know if you watched that Ravens-Browns game, but it looked like Lamar kind of checked out of that one. Once they got down, I didn't like you say you watch some of the body language at times there. I didn't like Lamar's body language on the side there. You got to take away. You got to force Lamar to throw the football. That's how you beat him. If you let Mark Ingram and the backs kind of take over this game and run it, and Lamar kill you with some big runs, that's how he beats you. And he's got such a flick of the wrist. He can throw that thing now, So you gotta keep him in third and long situations.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You got to stop the run. That's the identity of this Ravens team. So you're gonna have to go with 8-man boxes. But like you said, it's not a guarantee that they can't move the football down the field with a passing game. They got explosive receivers and Boykin and Hollywood Brown and Lamar, like you said, can throw it. So you got to kind of go 8-man box and really trust your corners to play to the level that they need to play. Because the Ravens can beat you vertically. But the number one thing is stop the run and then put Rudolph in good situations because you put him in third and long, like you said, for the Ravens offense. Put Steelers offense in third and long against a very chaotic, aggressive, throw every look at you kind of Ravens defense. That'd make life tough on Rudolph. So manageable situations will be key on the Steelers offensive side of the ball.
How much are they using the fullback this year?
I could look who they got back there. Ricard. I mean, they got a million tight ends, so I mean, they're kind of probably using those in some fullback-like roles. Hurst and Mark Andrews is playing really well this year, and Nick Boyle, I think, is still there. Give me 1 second, I can get you a fullback.
They do like to use a lot of tight ends, though.
Yeah.
And they'll go heavy quite a bit in there as well, too. They like to bludgeon you with that Mark Ingram,
and Gus.
And Gus Edwards as well, too, there. Look, this isn't the Patriots offense that you're talking about here. This isn't the 49ers offense or the Seahawks offense that you're talking about here. But this is an offense that's much better than the Bengals offense.
It's kind of similar to the 49ers, though, with a mobile quarterback, a fullback, some speedy, athletic receivers. Patrick Ricard, 60 offensive snaps this year, 25%. He's kind of the Swiss Army knife. He's got 43 snaps on defense, 60 on offense, 21 on special teams. So kind of what could have been with Sutton Smith. Something like that.
Yeah, they're just not as polished as the 49ers,
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Okay, let's see what else we have here. Tony Amos writes in Steelers defensive. I don't know what this is. He's got a bunch of gifts in here. I don't know what that is. Offensive play call from Travis Merriman. Hey, guys, man, what a fun game. Much more enjoyable to watch when they play well. I thought they played well in all aspects of the game, especially defense. Something I'm curious about, though, is what their offensive scheme will look like going forward. Mixing in the Wildcat definitely worked tonight, but I can't imagine that'll be successful in future games. Excuse me. It seemed to catch the Bengals off guard and put the defense on their heels. Any thoughts on what Fichtner and this offense may do going forward to keep defenses guessing, hoping it includes pushing the ball down the field a little bit more? Look, Travis, they're obviously not going to be able to run this Wildcat maybe this much every week. This probably isn't the last time that you've seen it, though. They are going to have to start running the football north and south better, plain and simple, on some of these early downs here. And at some point, as I said at the start of the show there, you gotta let let Mason start pushing this thing upfield a little bit more, because more and more teams are just going to continue to stack this box against them and man up on the outside. And, like the Ravens, they're going to say, all right, we think we got a better plan against the Wildcat than what the Bengals played. We'll be willing to go man on the outside and let you try to show it and see if we can defend it here. So this is going to be a tough test against. I look, that Ravens defense is a little bit better than what I thought it would be at the start of the season, but once again, they got gouged against that run against the Browns this past week there. So you ought to be able to do some of the same things that the Browns did.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there, Dave. Yeah, you got to open it up a little bit more. I don't know what Fiedner's approach is going to be, but I think that's a good thing, because I think that means he's kind of adjusting and maybe playing to the strengths of his team and meshing it with the weaknesses of the opponent.
Bryce writes in, good game plan by Fiedner. Now I hope he doesn't just copy and paste this next week against the Ravens, but it's definitely a style play that they can build off of. Effective, diverse power running, and then build the passing game around these actions. Bengals seem to always run that cover 2 man against us. So what are good route combinations that work well against that defense? Is he talking about the Bengals or the Ravens?
I think the Bengals usually run 2-man against the Steelers. What beats 2-man? Out-breaking routes. 2-man is designed to have help over the top, and then trail position to the inside hip to take away inside breaking routes. You want to run out routes to try to get separation there. It is tough to beat, though.
Ideally, run those smashes or run those sail routes combinations.
Well, smash maybe, but it's man coverage, so I mean smash is better against true cover too. But really, you just need guys that can separate and win one-on-one battles. You have that, and guys that can beat man coverage to take advantage of a, backup corner, nickel corner, something like that. That's ideal. But in terms of conceptually, out-breaking routes is how you beat 2-man.
We've yet to see Mason really do a whole shot yet. We've yet to see really back shoulder, right?
Yeah, no back shoulder has been surprising. I mean, whole shots is just based off of the defense. I don't know if it's been there, if the right play call and the right defense has kind of meshed up. But yeah, it's been conservative, but I think it's been selective when they want to be aggressive, and they're getting some space when the levels concept of Juju against San Francisco, that Yankee concept to Deontay Johnson. Just good job of getting guys open, getting guys in solid matchups, and those guys winning. So Rudolph's being smart, making a profit. I'm not mad about it.
Right. Okay, let's move forward here. Oh, he says Butler did a good job calling the games and stunts up front, take advantage of turns like bungle offensive line. Mark Barron seemed to play with a little more energy this week. Did you see the same thing? I mean, look, it wasn't an awful game from Mark Barron. We talked about him getting beat early by Tyler Eifert by a good throw. There was one other one that should have been caught in the end zone, right? Wasn't that Mark Barron that was in coverage on that one?
Yep, it was. So yeah, they know to go after him. They know the weakness when they go empty to attack Barron. That wasn't the secret.
Can you guys talk about the play of Vanette? How was the good and bad in his first game? Bryce, we haven't got deep into analyzing that play just yet there. So, kind of on this short night or whatnot, we got into just a quick overview of the TV tape. By tomorrow's podcast, Alex and I will be able to talk a little bit more about individual play.
It looked good, though. On first blush, it looked good. Yeah,
I agree. Artie Avalon Itis writes in, hate to be the Debbie Downer here, but I'm disappointed in the way Connor holds the football. He needs to get a grip, or we're going to see a few more fumbles before the season ends. I'm specifically referring to the first touchdown drive of the third quarter. I know Dave tweeted out beast mode Connor, but it could easily just have been Mendenhall Connor. He needs to keep both hands on that thing. It's just little things that have gotten us the past few years. Can you guys rewatch and let me know if I'm being overly critical?
I know the player you're talking about, obviously. I don't remember how he was holding the football. I will say, though, even for the fumble last week against the 49ers, he had really good ball security on that play, and he was going to get tackled. The ball just got punched out. So, I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at it.
Okay, from Matt writes in, do you think the Steelers' running game plan was just for the Bengals, or do you think we'll see more of this style in the following weeks? Also, given his effectiveness, why was Jalen Samuels bottled up before this game. Yeah, I think, look, I mean, they didn't possess the football, right, in that game against, I mean, even though there was still probably an opportunity or two to get Jalen Samuels involved, they should have got him involved in that game a little bit more than they obviously, I mean, he was on the field, right, 14 snaps or something like that against the 49ers, so surely you could have come up with, a way or two to get the football in his hands in that game. That's only, and because they didn't really possess the football overly well, that kind of takes you out of some of the things that you might want to do there. Do we think what we saw against the Bengals will be used more moving forward? Like I said, that's not the last time we saw the Wildcat. Here's a good thing: the Steelers still have not had to break out a lot of their whatever they have in the playbook as far as down the field stuff. And kind of that Yankee concept there was good to see. Those wide receivers crossing and switching it up a little bit further down the field there. They didn't really do all that much out of the bunch formation, right?
Yeah, not that I can recall.
Not that I recall. We'll see what the All-22 says on that. The good thing, I think, Matt, concerning the Steelers offense is there's still a lot that they probably haven't put down on tape right now, and Samuel's being part of that. I mean, I still expect to see him lined up, outside in the slot moving forward, at times. Using this 2 running back thing, 5, 6, 7 plays a game.
Yeah, I just think it was a mistake. I don't know if it was a mystical reason. I think they just screwed it up against the 49ers. And with Rudolph's progression, the more you kind of get to know what he's comfortable with and out there and what works well and what doesn't, the more hopefully this offense can open up and evolve. But, I'm excited to see where it goes.
Tom writes in, "Hi, Dave. Just my thoughts on the defense prior to the fourth quarter. Since the Bengals were going to be all-out passing, I thought that I would exclude that. The secondary can be beat quite easily. They were facing some average, slightly above average wide receivers, and they were a few times where they were flat-out beat. The front four, though, had an unbelievable game. Of course, having a few of their starters out didn't hurt at all either. As happy as I am with the win, finally, I'm still concerned about the defense. Tom, I mean, a lot of stuff you can't see on TV. That's why we wait to draw hard conclusions about some of these things. When it comes to pass coverage, we already talked about the Barron play, right? I mean, anything else that you saw on TV tape, Alex, where you go, oh man, this pass defense still isn't fixed?
No, I didn't see that. And some of the issues have been schematic and play action against the 49ers. Hasn't been perfect, obviously. No, I think the secondary has played well, especially with the addition of Fitzpatrick.
Tom, I think you got your jump to conclusions, Matt, out a little bit too early there. Either that, or you got a copy of the All-22 way ahead of all of us. I'm not saying that it's not there. It's just it was not there on the TV tape.
Yep, I didn't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll go back and look.
I mean, we'll definitely. You can look. We don't look at wins any different than we do losses, right, Alex? I mean, we still go way deep down into this stuff. Look, I mean, they did just here's the way to preface this, Tom, is they just beat a bad Bengals offensive team. I mean, I'm okay if you just want to come out and say I'm concerned about the defense because of who they played. All right, I get that, but I mean, I didn't see anything in the secondary that had me clutching my pearls.
Yeah.
Not saying that we won't see that stuff creep back up against the Ravens, but I just didn't see that in the TV tape. So when Alex and I get back together, maybe we'll have a change of heart after we look at the All-22.
Yeah. All right, Dave. I think we got Tomlin coming up here in a little bit, so we'll get back after it tomorrow, right?
All right, yeah, let's do that. For those of you that have email questions still in here, we'll try to get some more of those on Wednesday. We hope to have our buddy John Eisenberg talking about the Ravens on Wednesday as well, too. So quick turnaround for Alex and I. We're going to have a busy day and night here. In the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and you want to donate to the cause, go to to SteelersDepot.com, hit the donate button up right navigational bar, and also if you want a ad-free version of SteelersDepot.com, a lot of people are taking us up on that. Go to SteelersDepot.com, hit the ad-free button up right navigational bar, and for $25 for 1 calendar year, you can have an ad-free version of the site. Thanks for all the support everybody has given us. It was a fantastic September, so we take our hats off and hand it to you, the listeners, and the site visitors as well, too. A great month for Steelers Depot. Alex, you got a new car.
Yeah, I will always love the McLumina, which I still have for the moment, just for the record. But 2014 Scion TC. So it's got air conditioning and a working horn. So I mean, I'm really happy.
Yeah, that's like a Porsche, right?
It's like a Rolls Royce. Yeah, it's got a windshield wiper fluid, which I didn't have in my other car. I never got that fixed. Air conditioning, a horn. I mean, it's just I got to get it detinted. Whoever had it before didn't want to be seen, but it's a good car.
Does it have a quadraphonic blow punt?
I don't know what that is. I had to look it up. I don't know what that is, but it's got a spare tire. It's got it's a smaller car too, which I like. But it's a good car.
Does it have satellite radio in it or no?
I don't think it does. I think it's a Bluetooth option. I don't know. This is all new to me. I mean, I gotta go through this car and see how this thing works. But I'm happy with the purchase.
All right, keep both hands on the wheel, 10 and 2. Okay.
10 and 2. You know me.
All right. As always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.